Hello and welcome to another episode of Agri Art. For a long period of time, there's been extensive mixing between art and science, with the extensive use of artistic illustration to depict plants and animals. As late as 1988, there's individuals such as Margaret Mee who studied different species of epiphytic cacti and drew botanical illustrations of various species, including the moonflower, an epiphytic cactus found in the Amazon. These illustrations are remarked as being a combination of great beauty and great accuracy in terms of both the physiology and aesthetics of the individual plant. She would be one of the last individuals to make it into the mainstream before botanical art faded into obscurity and now only exists within a few specific circles. We'll be discussing the history of this practice from its beginnings to its golden age, to its decline and brief resurgence. Let's get started. The art of drawing plants has been practiced for centuries, where botanists, physicians, and pharmacists have used pictures to identify, analyze, and classify plants. For most of its history, botany and its various precursors have been dependent on illustrations for development. Most of these plant specimens are ephemeral in nature, meaning that they cannot survive long after being removed from the original environment, especially prior to current technology and propagation methodology. Even still, since the improvements in propagation methodology, plant collectors, gardeners, and amateur nature lovers still turn to pictures of plants for information and enjoyment, long after the propagation techniques were fully mastered. The history of botanical art as a source of accurate, useful information about plants is generally considered to be generated first in the classical times within ancient Greece and Rome, especially in the wake of the first herbals, which were books describing the medicinal properties of plants. Although herbals continue to be produced, the accuracy of their images degenerated as artists basically copied the early illustrations, and those individuals copied those illustrations, and so on and so forth. The Renaissance era saw a resurgence of looking at actual specimens as a source of illustrations versus copying from other artists and writers. The resurgence of ancient Greek naturalism also aided in that process. This continued on with the expansion of the interest in realistic flower painting and illustrating, especially in Northern Europe, with the vanguards being artists such as Albrecht Dürer, whose intent was more decorative than practical, but was nonetheless notable for attention to realistic detail. The golden age of botanical art spanned between 1740 and 1840. During this era, there's a great deal of adventurism and discovery, where various explorers would go to different locations of artists and other individuals to observe, sketch, and look at different species, especially plants. Botanists and naturalists often closely work with artists to depict these plant species, creating images you see on screen right now. After the mid-1800s, the overall quality of botanical art declined, as did its popularity in certain areas such as the United States. This is because natural history became more codified into a professional science, and as it became more formal, images played less and less of a role within the sciences. And with the advent of photography, what few sciences still remained that required photographs could be replaced with actual photographs. Although certain circles still preferred hand-drawn illustrations versus photography. There was a brief resurgence between the 1970s and late 1980s in botanical art, through the obtainment and interest by collectors of Golden Age botanical artists such as Pierre-Joseph Redoux and George Dionysius Erat, and various wealthy patrons continued to hire artists to draw plants and collect species from exotic locations, orchids being a particular favorite. Botanical art is unique in that the initial goal was always to depict the plant in as much detail as possible, both in terms of beauty and defects. Because although there are things of beauty, they're also used in the professional sciences. If the habit or nature of the plant is too large to be depicted in a single illustration, usually only a flowering branch or scaled down version of the plant is drawn. Depictions of the fruit, flower and leaves are also used quite considerably. An example can be seen once more on the screen right now. Due to the interest in botanical art, a separate discipline is broken off from this system where different researchers analyze the art to see if it was drawn from a dried specimen or a live specimen. Dried specimens look a lot different than actual live specimens, so artists have to reconstruct the entire plant from the dried specimen and photographs. This often leads to idiosyncrasies, so comparing a live plant against a drawing, as well as looking for specific inconsistencies, can be useful in determining whether or not a painting was derived from a dried specimen or a live specimen, and can be used to determine how accurate each drawing is. Even still, although botanical art is no longer a mainstream thing anymore, figures such as Margaret Mee are still aiding in science. Dr. Kress, through the analysis of one Heliconia species, was able to discover that Margaret Mee actually depicted a brand new species of Heliconia. He was then able to track it down in Brazil and name it. Initially, Margaret Mee thought it was just a yellow flowering variant of Heliconia chardsea, but through the professional eye of a professional botanist, Dr. Kress found that it was indeed a brand new species. The interest in plants through botany has waned into non-existence since the mid-1800s, with botanists and artists no longer going on long voyages to discover new species, with few exceptions of course. The search for new species continues, although on a much smaller scale than it once was, and the small circles that still desire botanical painting will still desire to see those new species documented in painting format. So long as that's the case, botanical artists will always have a Patreon and a source of income. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you really enjoyed it and think you can donate, you can do so at Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description below. Thank you for watching.